Hello, everyone. Just Love, Just Light here with a third podcast. I hope you've all been having a great December so far. We did just enter a new moon, so I hope all the intentions are good. You know, I feel like new moons are always kind of just a little bit of a reminder that, you know, it's really important to be mindful of kind of like our cycles of thought, and just it's a good time to reflect and really kind of think about where our head's been, where our spirit's been, and things like that. And, you know, just making the best changes to give ourselves the best possible energy, and so we can radiate that to the world. So anyways, new moons mean new beginnings, so I always feel like it's a good thing to kind of talk about or mention. So yeah, I hope you've been enjoying the new moon today. I had a pretty productive day, I guess. It's 7 p.m. right now on December 7th, and I am drinking a cup of coffee, which I feel like is not a great idea. It's about 6 ounces or so, I'd say, of coffee, but it's bulletproof coffee. And if you've read my blog, I've written a few blogs about them. They're just a great coffee company, but they're super, the energy that you get is a lot different than most caffeine. You know, you don't really get a crash, so it's just this really stable energy throughout, clear-minded energy. And sometimes when I drink it too late, I'm up really late, so that might happen today. But I'm gonna try and turn it into something productive, and if not, I'll probably paint and do something fun and cool for myself, so it's all right. But anyways, off on that tangent now. I'm just hanging out, and I thought I wrote a blog the other day and I kind of wanted to expand on it. So let's just go ahead and talk. I mean, like I said, you know, this podcast is just a place to really connect and hopefully create a space for anybody who has questions or I don't know, just wants to kind of like talk about the universe and talk about changing our energy and things like that. Excuse me, my throat's a little scratchy. It's super cold out there in Seattle. We've been super blessed with the sun the last few days, and it gets kind of dry. I guess, I don't know, maybe satellites, right? Maybe we're not used to all that. But my throat's just been a little bit dry and scratchy. It's really weird. But I think it's because of the dry air. It's just different for me. But anyways, let's see, where were we? Oh, talking about the blog. So this is something I think I've been going through a lot lately, and I've just been I feel like these last few months have been huge in transformation for me. I left a job that, you know, I loved, I guess, or I liked, but, you know, I wasn't in love with, and I just knew it wasn't right for me anymore, and that was really, really intense for me. And all love to them, but, you know, that was a big change. And then going through my big flare-up with my disease, that required me to really become more aware of kind of what was going on in my spirit as well, and just everything, to be more aware of my body and all those things, and just kind of the energy that I was putting out, and I wasn't taking enough time to rest. My flare-ups, I always feel like, are always a sign of just tiredness. Like I end up doing too much, and my body's always kind of like, all right, kind of like reminds me to really slow down. So going through that was big. And then just honestly a huge one for me, this sounds kind of silly, but I rearranged my entire apartment to where it looks completely different, and it's such a dream. I couldn't have imagined it coming together like this in my wildest dreams. Like, truly, this space I've been in for many years, for 6 years, and seeing the way that it's changed when I rearrange furniture is pretty crazy. But this time it's just like, it feels like I moved. And I know that sounds weird, but I feel like my energy, like, I just was like, whoa, like, kind of having to adjust. It sounds silly, I know, but anyways. I'm like I said, I'm super hyper aware of energy, so I could definitely feel that shift. And it was such an expansive, beautiful thing, and it was just like, whoa, like, learning to just embrace that and allow that in was really big for me. But anyways, and then finding a new job and loving it, to be honest, and kind of spending more time on my health and my wellness and just everything. It's been such a big shift these last few months, so I've been super focused on that. But one thing that I've really noticed in myself is kind of is learning how to decipher the difference between my strength, my resilience, and all the beautiful things about that, and also almost becoming too protective of my strength. And I wrote a blog about this, but just about the difference between strength and building walls. For me, I had no idea, and this was really intense because I think you kind of go through events sometimes that allow you to really see this, right? To really see a big truth about yourself. And that's the beautiful thing, right? I always think that's one positive we can take from any kind of difficult moment or interaction we go through. Everything is somehow allowing us to grow in some way. It's kind of making space for us to really become aware of what's going on, I think, in our hearts, because what we radiate, it really does tend to mirror our lives. And so sometimes when we go through a tough interaction, it can be really tough or hurtful, but at the same time, it's a really good time to kind of look at, oh my gosh, this is uncomfortable because I'm not feeling great about myself, or I'm not being fair to what I know my worth is, and things like that. So I don't know, I feel like lately, I went through a few things. They weren't heavy things, really. I don't think that heavy, but they were enough to kind of really make me aware of this. And so that's something I'm just kind of really learning to work through. So anyways, but for me, and I don't know if any of this makes sense. I tend to go off on tangents, but this is why I started the podcast. It was just my place to talk, right? But I personally have always been a very strong person, definitely, and very resilient. I've been through a lot in life, as we all have, right? And so I have kind of just these strengths of mine. But one thing that I've noticed, I've always struggled with as far as strength goes is the relationships that I build. I tend to give a lot. And I've always been like that. I've always liked to be, I'm very thoughtful. Self-love, right? But I'm a really thoughtful person, and I'm genuine. I'd like to think anyway, right? But I love to just be loving to people. I think humanity, we tend to really be tough on each other a lot of the time. And I know that most of the time when there's a negative interaction with somebody, a lot of it is projection. So it's really important for us to just kind of understand that we're all going through something in this world, and we're all here for each other. We're here to kind of, lift each other up. So I've always been that kind of caring person. So throughout my life, I've tended to kind of get taken advantage of, dare I say it. And so I've always attracted really, I guess, needy people. And so when I attract these needy people, I tend to give a lot of myself to them. And in the process, I lose myself. And I've lost my self-worth and things like that. And so in the last few years, I've just become really resilient to that. Like, I've really taken a stand for myself. I think learning to just, by meditating and finding myself spiritually, I've understood my worth a lot more. And I've become a lot more, my voice has just become a lot louder with it. And so I definitely don't stick around for those negative energies as much as I used to. And I'm able to get myself on a path of, self-love and following my heart and my truth and what I know is right for me. So, but with that, I didn't realize I was carrying on a lot of kind of like jaded energy, and that energy, I've become strong and resilient to saying no, but at the same time, it's created almost a little bit of a block, a bit of a wall into my future relationships and connections that I have with people. And from a like when I interact with people, just like with my job or whatever, on the street or just coffee shop, wherever I am, store, I can talk to people for hours, like I love interacting, and it's like always very positive, but when I begin to build relationships with people, friendships, anything, family, romantic relationships, whatever, work relationships, things like that, I tend to kind of have a tough time, I think, accepting love as, and that sounds crazy. I feel like Especially, I feel like coming from me, I've always been I'm very comfortable in my solitude also. And that's kind of something I've always been as well. So it's hard for me I become protective, I guess is what it is, of my space. And so I'm afraid to get hurt. I've almost become so resilient that I'm able to block energy, but I'm also I don't allow myself to be vulnerable enough to really let something unfold, if that makes sense. And that's pretty much kind of what my thing was, like, or that I guess I'm still technically kind of going through it and working through it. But I came to this huge realization recently, and with all these changes going on in my life, I realized I was so excited because, I mean, it was a lot of things, truthfully, you guys, have been manifesting for me. And so, like, leaving that job and finding this new job, everything, becoming more just abundant in my health and in my self-love, and just becoming a little bit more financially stable and things like that. Everything's just kind of really been smoothing out, and it's been wonderful. It's been super wonderful. And so as these manifestations kind of started happening and I was becoming aware of this, I was like, whoa, this is happening so fast. Like, because I surrendered, I noticed that I was having trouble almost accepting it. Like, I was like, this feels almost like, and we all do this. And I think this is our problem as humanity, and why we don't accept love or beautiful things as much as we do the bad, is because, it feels like almost too good to be true, right? You're like, things are too good. Everything's going so good. I don't know if it might go bad. So, like, I should prepare. And so what we do is we start sending out that energy, right? Then we start saying, we're like, okay, it might go bad. It might go bad. Well, that's what we start thinking about. And guess what happens? It goes bad, right? And so we really lose our grip on things when we do that. And, so it's really, and that's part of the allowing in as well, is like, you have to be able to receive that and receive it with like joy and positivity, and not worry so much about it going away. And so, but anyway, so I noticed that I was kind of doing it with all these things, and I was just kind of like, no, like, this life's, it's so great. It's been going so good. Like, I almost feel like, yeah, like it's almost too good to be true. And I caught myself in this, thank goodness, right? But I was actually having coffee with my friend Elijah, and I love talking to Elijah because he honestly, it's pretty funny. I think both of us do this for each other. But whenever we have conversation, we're pretty honest with each other. And so, but usually a lot of the time while we're always catching up, we tend to kind of like understand more of like what we're doing as human beings. Like, I always catch myself and like, oh, whoa, I was being in that thought pattern, wasn't I? And I'm always able to address it. It's pretty great. So thank you, Elisha. Shout out to like one of my best friends. But so I noticed one day we were having coffee, and I did this. I was very much like, whoa, I'm being super excited about all these manifestations in my life, but I'm also being very negative. I'm also being very like, it's great, but I don't know, or just I don't know, like, my perspective wasn't very good, and that's weird for me as well. I don't know, but I guess maybe this was a cycle, right? So I don't know. I think as soon as I was able to address this, I was like, okay, I need to take a step here. I need to take a step back. And I really kind of had to reevaluate some things. And as hard as it is, I had to kind of, there were certain connections that I know weren't super going to be great for me, or weren't super on my vibration. Kind of like letting those kind of connections go it was weird and tough, but you have to do it. And then, yeah, more than anything, though, I just had to address that in me. It was like, because at the end of the day, it's not anybody's fault, right, that I don't allow this love in. And it's not anybody's fault that I build up walls. Those are mine to build, and I build them. And so and my perspective. It's my perspective. Yes, it is a collection of everything that I've lived through and all that I have had to go through in life. But at the same time, I'm still making that decision, right, at the end of the day. So I couldn't really blame anybody. So I think just kind of taking a step back, really meditating and just sitting in that for a little bit with it, which is always uncomfortable. That's always been a really tough thing for me, I think, when I meditate. I like to be really centered and just I always feel very happy and at peace when I meditate, but at the same time, it's really good for me to also have those meditations where I sit with whatever it is that I'm dealing with and just kind of let it be what it is and feel it, and so that I'm free, to choose a new path and a path of love. So really sitting in that was big for me, and just kind of basically giving myself a little bit of a tough love and saying, hey, like, things are beautiful and things are working out, and you're loved and you're wonderful and you're doing a good job. You're doing the best that you can at this moment in your life, and that is beautiful. Like, that should be celebrated and appreciated and not picked apart, and I think just really kind of giving myself that time to reflect and be with that was huge. And now, it's like I said, I'm really working through it and still working through it, because I think for me, a big place where I'm afraid to allow love in is with my friendships and with my romantic relationships. I guess, we can go off on this talk too, but I've been single for a while, right? Because I do like protecting my energy and very protective of like what I've built for myself, I guess, so I don't want anyone to come in and ruin that. So I become I build up walls, and it's messed up, you guys. Like, I can say it, I'm a human being and I'm a spirit as well, and part of the earth, and it's as beautiful as everything, but I am human, and so I have these habits, and so I like to be protective of that. And also with friendships, I'm kind of weird who I let into my circle, because I do want it to be something, because if you're absorbed, if you have a lot of really negative friends, or people that like to gossip, or people that like to just like to see the bad side of things, you're going to become enveloped in that, and that becomes part of your energy. So like, I've become really protective, kind of, do you see, like, I mean well, I always mean well, but it ends up coming to a point where if someone can be wonderful, right, this wonderful, great person, and they make one comment about something that I don't agree with, or I just instantly am like, oh, red flag, I gotta go. And I leave, and it's like, and I don't really know what this person's story is. I don't know what they've been through in life. And that's not fair, right, to other humans. Like, that's not being loving, and accepting. Like, you can always feel things out for a little bit. Like, it's okay. And you'll know, your intuition knows, but there is a huge difference between building up walls. And that difference. I really believe that. I feel like in our spirit, we all sense that. Like, this person could be great for me, but I don't want them to be, or it's almost too good to be, and pushing them away. There's a difference between that, right? And someone being toxic for you, like knowing that someone is toxic. So that is huge, and I'm learning that, but it's a process. But, for me, truthfully, what helps me is always just keeping myself surrounded by good energy, listening to music that's going to uplift me, and make me feel good, and remind me of spirit and source and earth. And also just, listening to, for me, Abraham Hicks. She's been huge in channeling energy and manifesting and things like that for me in my life. So listening to her all the time is great, because she keeps me on a really good path and in a really good mindset as well. And honestly, I mean, I think that's why things are really working out, is just kind of being surrounded in that energy. Just doing wonderful things. Honestly, I've been painting a lot of watercolor, doing that. Coloring, it sounds silly, but I love doing little things like that for myself. Whenever my mind feels like it's flowing, just making that conscious effort to really bring myself to a good place. And trust me, I am one to, I'll tell you right now, I was kind of laughing at myself about this today because I was catching up on an episode of, I don't know if I want to admit this, but Floribama Shore. And I really refrained from the TV, from too many shows, unless they absolutely make me laugh. Because, I believe in the power of energy. So if I'm constantly consumed in drama, that's what my life is, and I've seen it. And this has been so true in my past life, So, I don't like to get too into TV. But Floribama Shore, one time, I got hooked on it a while ago when it came out. My friend Victoria told me about it, and I couldn't stop laughing. So it's become such a comic relief for me, and I love it. But so a lot of times, I want to watch all these drama shows, but that's my one guilty pleasure that I do. And but for the most part, I try to stay away from those things because then my mind goes there. I start getting worried about my own drama, and it's just ridiculous. And those things, those are all it's all made up. So yeah. But anyways, so but watching positive things and trying to not give in so much to that desire that I want to watch all my reality shows. It takes discipline. Spirituality is not, I don't think, an easy. I think a lot of people think there's this idea that people who are spiritual are just super zen all the time, and it's not true. It takes so much discipline, I think, and I'm not fully there. I don't think I ever will be. I think we're all we are who we are in this moment is all. And that is the truth. But, it's always a process. I have to be very disciplined, because I love my mind wanders. I'm a creative, so my mind is always somewhere. But it really does take me discipline to sit in meditation sometimes and to paint rather than scroll through my social media and see what everybody else is up to, things like that. And it's good to, be in the know, I guess, at points, but, it does take discipline to stay in a better place. And when you do, yes, your life completely turns around, and yes, peace overcomes you a lot, and yes, you're happy a lot of the time, and yes, you have great relationships and beautiful things that unfold, and you receive your abundance, and your dreams start to manifest. But it takes work, right? It takes work. I don't want to say work, but it takes commitment. It really does, to say, no, I don't want to do that. I should do this because I know this is going to be for the betterment of my well-being. Because otherwise it's like a rabbit hole, right? We give into our guilty pleasures, and then the next thing we know, we're spiraling into that. I do it all the time too. Like I said, I'll watch my drama shows, and then I start thinking about things, and then I'm listening to really sad music, and then I'm just starting to think about things, and it's funny, but it's fun to be human. This is the beauty of it. I feel like this is the best thing I think that I've learned, is that sometimes I do have to just kind of laugh and giggle at myself and just love myself through it all, to really truthfully learn to love myself through it all. And that's been huge, because when I love myself, I become more patient with myself. And when I become more patient with myself, I'm able to get to a place of awareness and mindfulness, and really understand where it is that my spirit is, and understand where my heart is and my mind. And then I'm able to give myself the time that I need to get to a good place, so that I'm centered and I can give the best love I can to the world, and give the best love to myself, and give it to the universe. That's so huge. So yes, please love yourself through all your changes and all your life, and all the good and the bad. Understand it's a wave, and the more that you commit to the things that are gonna fill you and fill your cup, which is your choice. It's your job to fill your cup, right? By making those decisions that are gonna put you onto that path, I mean, I promise so much, all of you. I love you all. Like, truthfully, just, you're so deserving. You are so deserving, and you are so loved, and you're so amazing because you're truthfully part of this earth. And I know I'm always going to go on this little rant probably in every podcast we do, but you are the earth. You are this, just like the soil, the stardust, all that, this whole expansive universe you are a material of that. That is magic. It's so much more than what you think you could even wrap your head around. I will never know the answer. You never will. Nobody ever will. We know that we are this part of the source, and the source, I mean, isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful when we open our eyes and look at the sky and go to the forest and see earth and hear the water? It's what a blessing, and we are part of that. It's and just as beautiful, like, truthfully, this human construct of what is beautiful and what isn't is not true. It's not true. That is a human thing. That's mine. That is ego. But what you are is the earth, and that is so beautiful and so loved and capable of anything. You are energy. You are energy, and that is what created you, and your intention created this physical of who you are. So you have so much power to truthfully be anything you want, and to have anything you want, and to be so loved, and you're worth so much more than you could ever imagine. So please be conscious of that, and be conscious, as if you are like me about building up those walls too high. Like, it's okay to be cautious, and to really, it's okay to follow your heart and your intuition, but please be aware if you're not allowing anything in the process. It's so important, because you deserve all the love, right? Just like I do. We all do. So yes, I'm going to end this now, because we're almost at 28 minutes. It's a long one, and my throat is just giving out at that perfect time. So it's time. My body is telling me. But yes, have a beautiful evening, all of you. I hope to talk to you soon. The next one will be out a lot sooner than this one was. There's been lots of changes, so lots going on, but I love you all. Have a beautiful weekend, and enjoy this beautiful December and this new moon. May it be filled with beautiful intentions, and may everything you want in this life happen. Love you. We will talk to you soon. Love and light.